Besides this, he has been working in prestigious Farmers Work project where more than 60 organizations are involved. So many network projects is associated. So vast background. So I invite Dr. Shiv Kumar ji for his lecture, and a practical demonstration also will be done by his our colleague Dr. Abhimanyu. So he will also be there to demonstrate the practical aspects. So thank you, Dr. Saab, for agreeing to give this lecture. So now I would like to invite you for delivery of the lecture. Some issues, that's why I think photo is not visible, but you can continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Namaskar, friends. My video is not working, so you won't be able to see me, but definitely I can see your photos and faces. So, the topic assigned to me in this training is this commodity value chain analysis and modeling.
डॉक्टर साहब स्लाइड शो में कर लीजिए.
स्लाइड शो it is स्लाइड शो में नहीं अभी.
No, it is not slideshow. Maybe you can unshare and share again for slideshow. चौहान जी एक बार देख लो जाकर.
ठीक है, मैं देख रहा हूँ.
करिए बारिश
हो गया.
नहीं पता नहीं है, मैं तो ठीक काम करिए, लेकिन स्क्रीन पर
ये पीडीएफ है आपकी. मैं तो ऐसे दिखाऊं फिर फुल स्क्रीन होता है
नहीं वो रजी करिए उसमें स्लाइड डॉक्टर रजनी आ जाओ.
यस यस.
ये स्क्रीन शो में नहीं है क्या?
नहीं, स्क्रीन तो शेयर्ड है.
फुल स्क्रीन में नहीं है क्या?
स्लाइड शो में नहीं है. नहीं,
देखिए यहाँ मेरे उस पर फुल स्क्रीन में.
आप इसको अनशेयर करके बस शेयर कर लीजिए, हो जाएगी. हाँ, अब दोबारा शेयर कर लीजिए. और अब उसको स्लाइड शो में करिए.
अब है?
नहीं,
अब भी नहीं है.
नहीं, ऐसे भी चलेगा.
चेंज हो रहा है मैम?
नहीं, चेंज नहीं हुआ है. आप एक्चुअली इसमें ना दिलीप, इसमें आप ये करो कि इसको पहले स्लाइड शो में मत करो, बाद में स्लाइड शो में करना. अनशेयर किया. हाँ, अब इसको आपकी प्रेजेंटेशन है उसको एडिट मोड में ही रखो और स्क्रीन और शेयरिंग में एंटायर डेस्कटॉप शेयर करो. शेयर स्क्रीन जब करते हैं और हाँ फिर से शेयर करिए.
आ गया ये?
अभी शेयरिंग नहीं हुई है.
पीडीएफ फाइल से आएगी ये.
अब इसको स्लाइड शो में करिए।
मैम हुआ?
अब
सिस्टम से तो शो हो रहा है।
अच्छा, चलिए ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं। थोड़ा
मैम आगे पीछे हो रहा है क्या, मतलब मूव हो रहा है स्लाइड?
रिज्यूम स्लाइड शो, रिज्यूम स्लाइड शो पे देखिए।
स्लाइड मूव हो रहा है कि नहीं?
नहीं हो रहा है।
सर सिस्टम वापस ही नहीं है।
में भी प्रेजेंटेशन
पावर पॉइंट कोई दोबारा खोल लो।
मैम पावर पॉइंट खुला हुआ है।
नहीं, मैं कह रही हूँ इसको दोबारा खोल लो। हाँ, नहीं उसको शेयर मोड में ही रहने देते, कोई बात नहीं थी।
इसमें तो
ये है, इसके अंदर भी
मैम कुछ हुआ?
हाँ हाँ, स्क्रीन में आपका वो आया है, एक्सप्लोरर विंडो आई है।
स्लो है क्या? अब इस समय
अभी तो नहीं आई है, लेकिन थोड़ा टाइम लग जाएगा शायद।
इसमें
दो अंतिम इसको उसमें ले ले और अपनी सोच सकते हैं शीट में।
हाँ ये मैं कर सकता हूँ जल्दी से। प्रिंटर है आपके पास?
मैडम वैसे करते हैं, मैं डिलीवरी सिस्टम में बैठता हूँ, ठीक है?
ठीक है।
आवाज चला दो या तो
अच्छा मेल कर देते मेरे को।
हेलो
हेलो।
यस।
हाँ दिलीप जी।
हेलो,
अच्छा
आवाज आ रही?
हाँ आ रही है, आवाज आ रही है। आप आवाज भी आ रही है, आपकी वीडियो भी विजिबल है।
हाँ सर।
हाँ ठीक है, अब ठीक है।
हाँ ठीक है, तो ये आ रही है आवाज। हाँ, स्लाइड शो भी ठीक आ रहा है।
जी मैम यस।
ठीक है, तो आप शुरू कर दीजिए।
ठीक है। Okay, friends, I am happy to see the name of some of my students in this training, that they are there. So straightforward, let's go to presentation. So in introductory part, that we will see how this value chains evolves, matures, and then die out. So life cycle of value chains, how this is happening. So see the value. Hello.
Sorry.
First, we will discuss the difference between value chain and supply chain. So people are using both terms in interchangeable manner, but there are two points where we can differentiate these two concepts. So if you see the difference, then you will find out that in value chain, in every step from production to consumption, every step some value addition takes place, and whatever value is added, that is to be shared among all participants of value chains. This is the first condition, value creation at each step and sharing of value by all participants in value chain. This is the first. Whereas in supply chain, it is not necessary. Value addition may be there in supply chain, but sharing may not be there, because the partners in value chains, immediate partners are aware who is next to me, but distant partners in value chain, they have no connections, no interaction. They don't know what other people are doing in value chains. So this is one point, that is a disjoint among partners, that is supply chain. If there is a complete linkage and interaction and sharing and transparency, then this is value chain. And the second point is that value chain should be transparent, robust. It means if any player in value chain is acting, that will affect the interest of other players in value chains. So everyone keeps watch on what this player is doing and what will be likely effect on me due to his efforts. It means there is a rhythm, complete rhythm, and they know if this will do mischievous, I will be the sufferer, and if anyone in value chain is doing good work, all will be beneficiary. So this transparency and value sharing, if these two are there, then value chain becomes compact, transparent, or robust. This we generally call value chain. And if there is disjoint and no sharing, no transparency in value chains among actors, this is supply chain. This is the major difference we generally say in value chains. So if we see that in India, what is the current position of supply chains or value chains, you will find that they are poorly connected, and transformation of products from raw materials to some other durable form, that is value addition, it is very limited. So in general, the actors in value chains are from farmer to consumer, which are listed in here. So there may be other partners also, but this is generic linkage. So next issue that comes is that the number of intermediaries involved in marketing of produce, whether they are optimal
or whether they are overlapping. So interesting point is that the players overlapping and their roles duplicating, this is to be analyzed. So there is poor flow of information. This is the existing state of supply chain in India. So little efforts to link production with consumptions. So here production portfolio is not matching with consumption basket of the consumers. There is always some lags in that. So need to make this match. So hardly any use of quality standards for grading and other safety measures. So this situation is horrible in case of perishable products or high value commodities. So if you see the investment in food processing, that is also not on higher level, that is on limited level. Valuation is very less in agriculture because of consumer preference of eating fresh food, fresh fruits and vegetables. So major consumption goes in form of raw material. But the way the society is changing and demand is evolving, so there is need for more investment in food processing and more value addition. Food safety in value chains, yes, this is also not given much emphasis. Emphasis is given, but practically implementation part is very poor. So the consumption basket is changing very fast compared to production portfolio at farmer field level because of urbanization, change in income, lifestyle change of demography, nuclear family, and so many things are there. So these are all driving change in food habits, and this needs to be reflected in production portfolio. The cropping patterns of farmers at their field as per need of the consumers. So the drivers of this structural change, they work only when supply chains are compact. Compact means the overlapping and duplication of efforts of the players near to zero, and complete and full flow of information, and all these players at production, processing, other levels, supply side, they should have capacity to respond to these drivers of change. So this capacity of the supply side players, that is greatly influenced by investment in infrastructure development at back end, especially the capacity development of players also includes enough investment in R&D to produce desired quality of the produce or variety, scientific handling of produce at post-harvest level, and adequate and latest state-of-art technology for processing and value addition and packaging of produce to the consumer's requirement. So government has made a lot of efforts to promote and modernize value chains for agricultural commodities. Few of them are that important regarding marketing. They are trying to provide markets, trading platforms, and they are attracting private players to participate in this market infrastructure, also giving enough space for private yard market development, and also encouraging separate private markets, and also giving incentive to processors for product processing, and strengthening production industry and consumer linkages through innovative institutions like contract farming and direct procurement by traders from farmers, particularly for perishable products. Though these latest farm bill has been revoked due to farmer protest by governments, but very good elements for strengthening value chains were there in these bills, but unfortunately that has gone, and I think in future that government may not dare to bring another policy reforms. Though some drawbacks were there that can be rectified with passage of time, but that has gone out of scene. So definitely, without such radical reforms, value chain developments will be hindered a lot by regulations of different states at different levels. So regulation for trade and foreign direct investment in agro processing are also liberalized. Though these reforms are generic in nature, that need to be made area specific and commodity specific. So that big question is, if we want to understand the ecosystem of value chains, then there is a need to work in a network mode. Why? Because India is a vast country having different ecologies and different natures of products. So according to climatic situations, need to produce specialty products as per need of the consumers of domestic market and consumers for international markets. So meeting that consumer requirements, various value chains have come up, and some of the value chains are in fully developed form, and some are evolving, and some have died out also. So once we have the findings of all such value chains in front of us, then we can assess the or capture the diversity of value chains, and can also see through the lens of functioning of value chains. So value chains location and context specific. So once we have good and bad lessons, then we identify winners and losers in value chains, and also identify the weak and strong points in value chains. Wherever weak points are there, then we need to give intervention, that is the leverage points. So this will help us to how to upscale and outscale successful value chains in agriculture settings. So in this way, all can play, all players or all researchers can play a major role and get benefits from the learning of other in a group action or network mode. So why we are taking up value chain research in our country? Because we have to identify and define the research gaps. So what is the current situation of value chains and what it ought to be? This gap is to be identified. So from existing literatures in the last 2 or 3 decades, we have come out a lot of analysis, a lot of confusing definitions, just like supply chain, value chain, net chains, value networks, and so many other are there. So we have not moved much beyond in methodology part. We are still doing some sorts of traditional value chain methods. Some are in qualitative and some are in descriptive natures. So have not crossed the limits in terms of analytical power. So we are going in a computation of this cost, margins, net value addition, or a risk at different nodes of value chains, but we are not able to capture the whole dynamics of value chain functioning using some system approach. So that is the limitation. So here we will move, and also I will discuss a bit about the system dynamics approach for analyzing value chains. So later on we will show you that how to do this analysis in system dynamics approach. So by working in groups, we can gain some knowledge of applying current analytic methods. So So in general, that major issues we have discussed and how to frame the objectives of value chains. These are broad issues wherein you may rope in your students to do some research work. So based on that specific commodity and context specific, you may pick up, and these are the broad objectives. So one is the characterization and mapping of value chains with particular emphasis on product differentiation, product and information flows, and actors in value chain linkage among them. Role and participation of supporting markets and service providers at different stages of value chains, and standardized practices for actors in financial management, risk management, contractual arrangements for services. And fourth, maybe that estimation of compliance cost, investment, margins along value chains, and arrangements for technology and knowledge upgradation. Enabling environment for value chains, facilitating interactions among the actors, and attracting investment in product transformation. And last, maybe that inclusiveness of farmers in value chains and what could be their equity and efficiency and distribution of benefits. So these are general, broad, so you may fine tune, and based on issues discussed in the past, you may decipher your research gap, and keeping in line the issues of your research as per objectives, you may design different value chain analysis better. So value chains, we discussed that may be local, or that may be across a big geography or across international borders also. So these green labels, these are showing that farmers or producers and goes up to consumers. So this is the internal environment of value chains. And this value chains work in external settings also, that can be influenced by your political, economic, technological, environmental, and socio-cultural situations also. So both internal and external environments give impetus to value chains development. So there is always some rhythm in value chains. So keeping all these factors, internal as well as external, these value chains evolve, changes, adapts, and modify. So accordingly, we have to go for this SWOT analysis, and based on that, identify weaknesses and strengths. So devise strategy just to capitalize on your strength and weaken the weaknesses of your value chains. So at different levels, there are some issues. I'll speak a bit on that. So under characterization of value chains, here this is based on flow of input and output structures, how much input is given and how much intermediate products are being formed and how output is coming out from this value chains. This is one structure. And a chain is a set of products and services linked together in a sequence of value adding economic activities. One or more less visible structure, that is the flow of knowledge and expertise necessary for physical input of structure to function. So geographical spread, that definitely value chain may be global or domestic or local. So there are several control and governance mechanisms in value chains. Some are self-controlled by actor in value chains, and some are controlled by others. So governance mechanism may be private global business formats, or maybe local, or maybe as per our national requirements. So mapping of value chains, why we do generally this mapping? It facilitates in understanding of systems dynamics, interrelationship among actors and functional roles among actors, activities of actors at pre-production stage to production, and goes up to disposal of product after use, and get feedbacks also. So this is the mapping, how these players are working and what role they are doing, and how other institutions and support services are helping in disposal of product. And key questions in value chains here are One is that core processes in value chains. And second, maybe understand how the different business links functions together as a system, farmer to consumer, including all players in value chains. And based on that, while mapping, we draw the interconnections and flows, and how the products, payment services, and knowledge flows across players in value chains. So these are the issues that we generally discussed while mapping of value chains. So how is value chain organized? This is a question. So one is that partner networks. That is the one mode of organizing value chains. Here we have to identify and assess the relationships, identify the leverage points, and capacity of players and resources available with partners, including support services and other stakeholders, interests and liabilities. So external environment wherein the value chain system operates, it may be definitely these all socio-economic, legal and political and environmental issues. So issues at innovative institution arrangements and market reforms. At production level, the farmer have to work in group action. Group action means that they have to work in a collective mode. So can be done this production using the string of institutions like contract farming, e-chopal, cooperative, FPO, joint liability groups, etc. So market reforms is needed because to avoid the collusion amongst traders. So government of India has brought out this e-NAM platforms. They have initiated in some states the process of e-tendering and e-auction platforms. So system of online on the spot display the daily prices of the products, and based on that farmers can take decision whether to stop the sale or take the produce in mandi, or what they should do according to prices prevailing in markets. So besides this, at production level, land lease act, land market reforms, APMC, free movement of products from one state to another without much hindrance, and of course impact of GST on transaction in markets, etc. So issues are there. So government has to work a lot. The government has done some work, and based on our suggestions, they have bring out good points in market reforms using these three farm bills, but things have gone out of our hand. So at farmer level, what sorts of contractual arrangements, what sorts of terms and conditions of contracts, and impact of such contractual arrangements on income, choice of technology used by farmer, production decision making, freedom, whether it is a salary system or farmer has choice to make decision in contract farming. So bargaining power, whether it is tilted in favor of contractor or equally distributed power among all players. So impact of this contract on employment, market channels, contract governance, procedures, and other environmental issues. Besides these, here we have to decide that balance between market forces and societal concerns. So market forces means that how to keep this contract farming and other institutional arrangements in a beneficial mode with respect to some concerns arising in society. So balance is to be maintained between profits and social welfare. This level attempt will be made to compute the equity, efficiency, and inclusiveness of farmers in value chains. Value chains should be designed in such a way that includes smallholders in its fold. It should not be excluding smallholders, because more than 85 or 90% smallholders are in agriculture. So we cannot afford any value chains which exclude smallholders in its participation. So here role of institution, technology and policy, that will be crucial and all sorts of coordination management in contextual group action forms. So such issues are very important. Individual farmer cannot participate in this such a contextual farming arrangements and cannot take that bargaining position. So farmer has to work in group action mode, and there is need to bring some legal supports to farmers, because someone should be the custodian of farmers. So here government or some other agencies, whenever there is a adverse effect of contract on farmers' interest, there should be someone to protect it and support it. So at buyer and processor levels, we have to see the number of processors, competition among processors, capacity of processing plants, and the extent of procurement of raw materials, arrangements among processors, how they differ, and scale of economy of the plant, location advantage of processing plants, provision of specialized technology, variety for processing, because the processing that requires special varietal need as per demand of consumers, and input technology and other sports. So besides this, there is a need for putting in place some risk coping mechanisms at production level. At farmer level, it could be the good agricultural practices, insurance mechanisms, etc. And processing level, it may be good manufacturing practices and HACCP. HACCP means health hazards and critical control point systems that we have to keep check on, and the extent of prevailing toxicity in edible produce. So quality testing is the main component of the value chains. So national standards or international standards have to be put in place, and a farmer need to be trained in that area, so that whatever standards is there, that need to be practiced at the farmer field level, so that that produce can be sent to overseas markets. So same way at marketers level, packaging, transportation, branding, labeling, meaning trust of consumers in domestic or overseas markets. So another issue is that once the consumer is having produce or food at a plate level, he should be assured that this product is of desired quality and produced in a specific way that is not harmful to health consumers. So traceability need to be put in place just to assure the consumers about his safe and clean food in transparent manners. And other than this, that cost and margins, risk involved, and markup prices that need to be computed. Retailers level, different business formats, and need to put in place different lines of product mix, and just to enhance the sales, advertisement, and branding that need to be done. Location of retail shops and cost and margins again. So consumers level, consumer should be fully assured about money they use to purchase the products. So customer satisfaction need to be sustained in a feedback mechanisms. Okay. So purpose of this exercise is simply just issues we have discussed, and some way forward how to go ahead in computing in objective forms. We have seen in different levels some issues we have discussed, not what we have achieved, what the purpose of this whole exercise. So purpose is just to develop the compactness of value chains, define relationships and interactions among actors, and how the flow of products, services, informations, and payments goes in value chains across all actors. So understanding this enhanced communications between different actors, and then identify some entry points if some intervention is to be made to improve the value chains. So we have discussed so far some issues and some theoretical framework. now we will have a quick glimpse that one really done value chain, that is buffalo meat value chain. That study is carried out in Bareilly district of Uttar Pradesh. So objectives again they are there. So characterize and mapping of different players in value chains. That value chain is for domestic markets and for overseas markets, and then later on match the linkage between them. So then performance of all actors in value chain is computed. So here how the distribution of benefits goes across sectors in chains, and at the end to carry out the risk analysis to identify the disease risk hotspots in the value chains. So just to see, so this is the sampling framework. So here the retailers, farmers, abattoirs, and export house and all players in value chains are taken into account. In FGD were conducted, focus group discussion, and based on that, this work was done. So here the quantification of buffalo meat in value chains. So here one side we have urban or peri-urban dairy, and another side we have farmers in rural areas. So if we see the buffalo or meat going from farmer to consumers in Bareilly or overseas markets, here it is shown clearly. So now you see how the buffalo moves from different rural areas to Bareilly abattoirs, and how this once the buffalo is slaughtered and meat is prepared, then how this meat goes from slaughterhouse to different retail outlets in Bareilly. So according to seasons, there is impact of procurement of buffalo and meats. So here we are considering meats. So now you see the impact of seasons on meat consumptions. Season-wise, season has a great impact, more than 50% increase in procurement during seasons. So at all levels in value chains. Now you see the cost and return structure. So interesting point is that you take care of this value chains at different levels, urban or rural areas. Net margins, no, this is in increasing order. From farmers to consumers, now you see the net margins, it is increasing in every settings. So now the different forms of meats, that is at a restaurant level, and different meat products. So everywhere this net margin is increasing as we move from farmers to consumers. Why this is so? Because as we move from farmer to processing, there is a lot of efforts, investment, capital, and knowledge is involved here. So just to get benefits of this investment, this value addition is more, and same way realization of value addition is more. So moreover, that they have invested a lot and they have a lot of money involved here, so they try to monopolize this market. They don't want to share their secrets to other players. So some sorts of IPR issues are involved. So they try to monopolize that. So because of this tendency of processors or retailers at the consumer side, they try to gain more benefits. So this is happening across all value chains. So again, same situation. So now regarding this risk entry in value chains, so here risk is computed, that is unwanted event occurring in value chain and magnitude of that. event. So initially, 27 risk factors were identified, and experts were called just to give a rating based on the dimensions, on these two dimensions. So they were put in some matrix just to show this flow diagram. These blue box, they are the around 8 points. They are the entry point of risk in value chains. So just they will provide you some leverage points that there is a need to put in place some legal mechanisms. If laws or institutional provisions are there, then need to be strengthened just to check the entry of risk in value chains. That's very important from consumption of meat from consumer point of view. So definitely summary we have discussed, no need. Now we will see that application of research output. So we will go for this dynamics approach a bit, and this will provide a path to track this system at a more finer level, means from sector, dairy sector to level of chain actors. So the approach, this approach, system dynamics approach, will enhance the ability of policymaker just to internalize the role that government play in value chains. So this approach can serve as additional layer to existing value chain maps and descriptions. So I will take around 5 or 10 minutes just to give idea of how system dynamics model is and how it works. So question simple is that what is system dynamics? System dynamics is a method to enhance the learning in complex systems. So there is increased recognition that system thinking is an essential part of decision making. And there are a number of interactions and interconnections present in any system of factors. So there is back and forth movement. So once the system is established, and if you give any shocks in value chains, that will give rippling effect on all players across all actors in value chains. So everyone is interconnected and everyone is visible who is doing what and others. So system dynamic models are used for simulation approaches that help decision makers understand the impacts and consequences of system changes, giving interactions and feedback between actors. The approach is grounded in the theory of non-linear dynamics and feedback control. From that approach is also used in engineering, physics, mathematics, pure sciences, and we have picked up this approach from this engineering or other sciences in our value chains. So applications of such system dynamics approach are numerous, so many, including technical, biological, economic systems, as well as study of human behavior, organizational reform, and policy processes. System dynamics are interdisciplinary in nature, both in design and interpretation. So important concept of system dynamics model is the notion of feedback. So feedback is the process wherein one components of the model initiates change in another components of the model, and those modifications lead to further changes in the component that set the process in motion. So it may be expanding or it may be contracting. More simply, feedback determines the dynamic process of a system and how things evolves over time. So concepts in general is this, that feedback can be positive or negative. Positive feedback is self-enforcing, means self-strengthening. It implies what happens in the systems. Consider the feedback loop between chickens and eggs. So as chickens lay more eggs, this increases the number of chickens, which increases the number of eggs later on, so and so. So it amplifies and goes on and on. This is a positive feedback. Negative feedback is self-correcting. If something goes wrong, then it restores its original shape. So it counteracts and opposes changes in the system. They consider the feedback loop between chickens and road crossings. Now you see that as the number of chicken rises, this increases the number of attempted road crossings. This subsequently reduces the number of chickens. If the chicken crosses road, the chickens may be there, and so this is a negative. So in any system, there will be a combination of positive and negative feedbacks. So how a system behaves will depend on this interaction, much of which will be complex and not intuitive. Words positive or negative do not conjure any value judgment about the nature of feedback. Rather, they refer to being self-enforcing or self-correcting, respectively. So this is the just in Stella, that Stella is a software where this system is available. It is a paid system, not an open system. And Dr. Abhimanyu is there that he will demonstrate how this Stella works in this system dynamics approach. So, Dr. Abhimanyu,
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
just you demonstrate how this works. So this is my part, just to sensitize you that simple value chains, how to go complex value chains, and how simple method used in value chain analysis, and how complex system works in value chains. And there is a lot of relevance of information or empirical evidences emanating from this value chain, and how to use this in policy framework or enhancing value chain. Dr. Abhimanyu, it's your.
Yes, sir. Kindly unshare your sir PPT.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You can.
You can go ahead.
Sir, is it visible?
Visible.
Yes. So, dear friends, good afternoon. And all basic concept has been covered by Dr. Shivkumar sir. And this is the software Stella Architect. And this is one software where we can do this system dynamic modeling. So basically how it look, and this is the open window of this software. So we have basically three things here. This is stock, non-negative stock. Then we have flows. Then we have converter. So stock is the state of a system at a given point of time. If there is some water level in water tank, then we call it stock. A population of a city, of a country, we call it a stock. So here I am taking example of pig population in a piggery. So our initial population will be stock. So we are giving here pig population. So this is stock. Stock can't be changed without flow. Flow can be inflow and then outflow. Inflow means the population will increase. Outflow, then population will decrease. Inflow may be due to that birth rate and for new piglet. So this is inflow, and then we are selling piglet to the market. Then this is known as and that we are taking out of the stock, so it will decrease the pig population. So there will take inflow. Here we call it being born. So this inflow is new population of piglet being added to the stock of population. Then there will be outstock. So this is selling of pigs, that is outflow from the our stock population. So this inflow depend upon the other relation. That relation we call that relation as a connector. Converter. That defines the rate at which population is being added to our stock population. So here we are taking birth rate of piglets. Then another, selling of pigs. So this is outflow, and it will be defined by the rate of sale, how much we are selling per month or per year at given period of, at the frequency of time, any frequency we can take. So that will be our rate of sale of piglets. So through this model, we can actually this software, whatever our value chain or anything, we can visualize, and we can draw our value chain, and then we can define relationship, and then we can run the model. If there is any new intervention or we want to bring any change, if going to change one relation, then we can see how the whole system evolve over the period of time. So now we will another important, that is feedback, and this feedback loop, or we call it connectors, that define relationship from this birth rate to this inflow. So inflow will be influenced by the birth rate, and inflow will also influenced by the present stock of population. So that population, that will define inflow. So being born is dependent on current population into birth rate. So likewise, the selling of piglet is depend upon rate of sale, at what rate we are selling in the market, and our stock population. So this is simple population model, and this I just to show how it's look. But now here we have button run. We can press on it, but my model cannot be run because the error, we haven't given any value for these our stock and other variables. So first is showing yellow mark, so we will put pig population. So we'll going to give initial population, let's suppose 1000. Okay, then being born, initial population of pig we have given 1000. Then being born, will define relationship is equal to birth rate. Here operators we take multiplier into initial this pig population, and will okay. Then selling of pigs, here we'll define equation equal to selling of pigs equal to rate of sale into our pig population. Then we'll define birth rate. Birth rate we take 5%. So and this will be 0.05. Or initially we take a rate of sale as 0.05. So now we can run our model. So here this pig population is 1000 because we have same birth rate and rate of sale. So population will be same. So here we can see a result. So it is 1000. So if now this birth rate, if we change birth rate, increase little bit. So now population will change. If we increase this rate of sale and it is more than birth rate, then population will decrease. So in this way, we can change one variable and can see effect on the whole system. So this is simple basic that I have taken. So any further, if anybody is interested, so they can contact by mail and we can discuss more. So any question, question will be taken by Shivkumar sir. Sir,
Thank you, Dr.
you have to go then.
Okay, Dr. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, you may leave now, you may go. But actually one question came from one of the participants that whether this software is paid or not. It is open source or not. Actually, this is a paid software, not a open software. So if some students purchase, then cost may be around 15,000. If scientists purchase, then cost may be 50,000. If institutes purchase, it may be 1.5 lakhs. So it depends how many license you have, single license, multi-license. So it is a paid software, not open software. So that interesting point that Dr. Abhimanyu has shown one production module of value chains. In value chains, there are different models. There are processing models also. There are marketing models also. There are some sporting service model also. So consumption model is also there. So in value chains, the way he has put equations and the way he has computed some parameters and put some arbitrary value and coefficients, then you can easily see the change. And if you put all models in sequence and link them properly, the data, so different models, they will be
waiting for the students to come. Therefore, it will take some more time.
So different modules will be linked, and once your base model is set up, then you can give some shocks or generate some simulations, and that helps you get a lot of information just to make your value chain robust. And interesting point is that whatever data you are giving and putting some coefficients, automatically in the results equations will be developed. Your methodology part, the way you are computing, in background, automatically fully equations are being generated by Stella model itself. No need to make any equations from your side. Stella will do based on your intuition, theory, and data. So this is all about this system dynamics approach. So if anybody has any questions, most welcome.
And Dr. Vishnu?
Dr. Vishnu?
You have to allow him to talk. He is in attendee, no?
Yes, sir.
No, they can ask questions.
Yes.
He is muted, ma'am.
No? Dr. Vishnu can unmute himself if you want to ask question, because your hand is raised. If you don't want to ask question, please lower your hand.
Dr. Vishnu, where?
He is there.
Dr. Vishnu, pucho.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected directors, professors, computer application, agriculture statistics, and bioinformatics.
No, this is a questions or this someone else is speaking. Next speaker is there, I think. Dr. Vishnu is a participant.
Dr. Vishnu,
Dr. Rajni, if there is no questions, then thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shiv Kumar and Dr. Abhimanyu for very good session. In fact, this is a rare opportunity for the participant to get such kind of experience analyzing value chains through Stella software modeling. In fact, even at NIAP also, this capacity was not available few years back. So once it is developed, we wanted to impart to others. So thanks a lot, Dr. Shiv Kumar and Dr. Abhimanyu, for sharing your knowledge to the participants. Those who are interested to further enhance their knowledge on this or want to have some kind of collaborative program for this or to aid to your research, they may contact Dr. Shiv Kumar for this purpose. Dr. Shiv Kumar, there is one chat question that is they want to have some studies related to fruit crops.
Very good afternoon to all of you.
So
Definitely we will share.
you can share with us, then we will share with them.
Okay, definitely we will share.
Okay. So thanks a lot. Thank you very much to both the instructors. So now one simple announcement is that today's 3:30 lecture will not be there because of convocation at IRI. The faculty has to actually participate in that. So we will postpone. We have postponed today's this session on principal component analysis on Monday 11:30. So other sessions we will replace and let you know. Tomorrow we will meet at 11:30 again. So if someone have any question, you can let us know. So thank you very much.